If you have that realization, then your external reality will be reflecting that to you, which means that you will be living a life that is so much more full and abundant and joyful than you even thought possible.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
Hello, deep divers. That was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. That was a little weird. My name is Adam Roa. You know I'm a little weird if you're listening to this. If this is actually your first podcast ever, thank you for being a part of it. Today's topic is a deep dive musing, which means it's just me and you. We're diving into things I've been thinking about, specifically 3 ways to rebuild trust with yourself. Because after my last breakup, specifically, this is what inspired this, was after my last breakup, I went through a period where I felt like I smaller than I'd ever felt before. I just felt as if I didn't have the same confidence. I didn't feel as if I trusted my own perception of who I was and what I was here to do. And I was in this kind of liminal space of, who am I now? Which is very common after a breakup. And it doesn't have to be after a breakup. You may be someone who's in a space of just feeling like you don't really trust yourself. So whether it's because you're coming out of a major life transition like a breakup or a shift in career or moving to a new city, or it's simply because you've never actually taken the time to build the trust with yourself, we have an opportunity today to give you the awareness so that you can make new choices and take 3 steps to actually increase and rebuild the trust that you have with yourself. And that trust that you have with yourself is the foundation by which you actually feel worthy to receive all of the things that you're calling in your life. Think about that for a moment. If you don't actually trust yourself, why would you feel worthy of receiving all of the abundance and love and everything that you think that you want? The foundation of trust in yourself and who you are and your integrity and what you're here to do and who you're here to be, all of that plays a role in how much you're allowing yourself to receive. And that's why this is so important. And I hope that you not only are going to listen to this podcast and definitely share it out in all the places with all the people. Yeah, definitely do that. Besides that, I want to make sure that you're actually going to do the exercises that I'm going to give you. I want to make sure that you're actually applying this to your life. Because if you are saying that you want to rebuild trust with yourself, and that's why you're listening to this, and then you don't actually do it, you're not building trust with yourself. So make the commitment right now. And I'm going to do this is like bad marketing. My YouTube dude is going to be, why did you say this? Is actually say, Mark, I love you. The thing about this is actually going, am I the person who's going to listen to this podcast or watch this podcast and make the decision to make some shifts in my life? Am I ready to do that? If you're not, press stop. Go listen to a bunch of other podcasts or things that's going to get you to the point where you're ready to make that choice. But for those of you who are ready, here we go with way number 1, which is honor your commitments. When you think about building trust with yourself, the number 1 way to break trust with yourself is to not honor your commitments, to say things like, I'm going to stop eating late at night. I'm going to start working out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop smoking weed, whatever that thing is. And then you might do it for 2 days, 3 days, and then start doing it again. You are breaking your own commitments with yourself. There is no quicker way to break the trust that you have in your own word. I refer to that as integrity. I have an integrity to my word that is unshakable. The reason why it's unshakable is because I understand that the moment I break my integrity with myself, literally the belief that I have, the unshakable belief that allows me to manifest amazing things into my life, goes out the window. For example, let's tie this into a breakup. My last 3 breakups have been solidified in plant medicine ceremonies where I've made the commitment with spirit and said, okay, I'm closing this now. And then afterwards is the period of time of going, I want them, and going back and forth. However, the moment that I go back and I dishonor what I've made with commitment, now I feel like I'm out of integrity with myself, which means that I'm out of integrity with spirit, which means that I feel like I can't be trusted with the directions I receive because I'm not sure that I'm actually going to commit to them. That's just how I live my life. And so when we say honor your commitments, it means whatever you actually commit to, you honor them unshakably, no excuses around it. I would rather you not make the commitment and not break it than make a commitment that you ultimately break. Hugely important. You say, I'm going to try to start working out 3 times a week. Awesome. But to make a commitment to working out 3 times a week and then only going twice, not good. Not good. Because you now are becoming the person that says one thing and accepts a lesser version of what you've committed to. And so how can you start to build that up? Don't make some crazy, wild commitments that you're not sure that you can actually uphold. Start with simple ones. If you've been eating late at night, this has been one for me. I made the commitment to stop eating after 10 p.m. And I allowed myself a period of time where I said, this is what I'm committed to. Unshakable. And then once that period of time was over, I said, okay, I don't want to eat after 10 p.m. most nights. And sometimes I'm going to be with friends out late at night and I'm going to let myself do it. But I first had to build the knowing that I could honor that commitment. You could start with things like, I'm going to meditate every single morning. Okay, awesome. You don't have to set a time. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes, but then you realize that you got out of bed and you immediately got on your phone and you go, oh man, I forgot to meditate. Stop what you're doing, sit down and meditate, even if it's 5 minutes. Honor your commitments. Step number 1, the most important one that you can do, start there. All right, what's the second way that we can start to rebuild or build more trust with ourselves? The second way is by being present with our feelings. It's a much more nuanced one that a lot of people don't realize they're not doing. However, what can happen is that we get so wrapped up in what we are doing that we push aside how we're actually feeling, our beingness. Meaning we might be running ourselves into the ground at work and there's a part of us that's feeling very strongly, I need a break. I need to rest. I need just a little bit of time to regroup. And we decide instead to drink 3 cups of coffee. We decide instead to say, you know what, in 2 weeks, I'll slow down. We ignore. We might use alcohol, social media as a distraction. We might use sugar and food. That's a big one for me. And we avoid feeling those things. And imagine now you had a child that was coming up to you and saying, hey, I'm feeling this. And you go, no, not now. Not now. Tell me later. And they come back later. Hey, so I feel really, no, not now. If you did that over and over and over again, do you think that that child is going to trust you with their feelings? I can tell you, and if you've been listening to this podcast or watching my content, you know I grew up in an environment where I didn't feel safe to feel my feelings. I very much know what that feels like. And another way of saying I didn't feel safe to feel my feelings is saying I didn't trust my environment, the people in it, my parents specifically, to hold my emotional experience. And so I shut it down. And so if you don't actually give yourself the space to be present with your emotions, you are sending the signal to yourself that you are not a safe space to feel your feelings, which means that you can't be trusted with your own emotional experience, which means that you are not building a deeper sense of communion with yourself. which means you are not increasing the trust. You're lessening it with each and every day that passes. Every single time that a feeling comes up and you shove it down, you are lessening the trust because your emotional body, your inner child is saying, hey, I have this. And you're going, shut up. No, not now, later. And over time, that will derail the trust that you have in yourself. So if you want to build trust with yourself, be present with your feelings. And that might look like, on a very practical level, that might look like an emotion coming up and you simply just make the commitment, again, going back to step one here, you make the commitment that you're going to breathe into it when you feel it. Even 1 or 2 breaths, just acknowledge that it's there, and you're going to take up a practice of feeling those emotions. Maybe it's a journaling practice, maybe it's a meditation practice, whatever it is. When I was going through the breakup, one of my previous breakups, I made the commitment to myself that no matter what the feeling was, I was going to stop what I was doing and give myself the space to feel it. That meant that there were times I was doing something and I would feel this and I would go and sit on the couch and I would cry in the middle of what I was doing. And so there's an opportunity here for you to design this in a way that works for you and with your lifestyle in a way that you feel comfortable. And you get to understand the importance of being present with your emotions. And let's go into the third and final way that I want to speak about building and rebuilding trust with yourself, which is play. Just play. Play. I don't trust someone who doesn't know how to play. Think about this for a moment. What does play actually mean? Play simply means that you're giving yourself a permission slip to enjoy life. That's it. Because play looks different for everyone. You might, like, play for you might be going to an amazing movie. That's just for fun. Play for you might be dancing. Play for you might be hanging out with your friends. Play for you might be taking up a hobby or playing a sport, like getting together with some friends and throwing a football around or going to the beach. Like whatever that might be, you get to play. Because what that's doing is allowing yourself to understand that there's more to life than just being serious all the time. There's an importance that you are placing on enjoying life. And I want you to actually think about this for a moment. How many people in your life do you really trust that are always serious and don't seem like they enjoy life? Think about that for a moment. The people that I trust in my life are not people who I think hate life. People who hate life, who really don't enjoy life, those people are deep down nurturing a very deep wound, and their actual mechanism in their brain and what's going on is trying to figure out how to get through life. And those are the types of people who will sometimes do things that are slightly out of integrity if it feels like it's going to bring them more happiness. Those are the people that will step on people in business. Those are the type of people that will step out of integrity because they, at a certain point of going through life long enough, not enjoying it, it's going to become a desperation to try and get through it. We trust people who exhibit qualities that we actually admire. We trust people who are in a state of embodiment. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this video, it's because there's a part of you that really wants to love life. You may already do it, but as someone who didn't for a long time, that there's an understanding that part of learning to trust yourself is knowing why you're doing it. Because you want to love life. You want to love yourself. And so give yourself permission to play. Give yourself the permission to enjoy this gift that we've been given of breath, of senses. Go eat a beautiful, enjoyable meal. Give yourself permission to play. Not everything has to be so serious all the time. In fact, if you want to build and rebuild trust with yourself, giving yourself permission to not take it so seriously is going to be a huge help. And this one, I learned the hard way after many, many years of not being this person. So let's recap. Number one, honor your commitments. You can start by making small commitments that you know you can honor and then building up from there. Number 2, be present with your emotions. It can start as simply as taking a few breaths whenever you feel an uncomfortable emotion and just acknowledging that it's there. And finally, number 3, play. Give yourself permission to play and just enjoy the life that you have, because that's what you're building trust in. You're building trust in yourself so that you can trust life, so that you can open up to receive more. That you know that you're a space and saying, hey, I want more life in me. I want more life force in me, which is money, which is love, which is abundance and prosperity. These are the 3 ways that you can rebuild trust with yourself, no matter what sort of situation has happened in your life, no matter how low you might be feeling, no matter how down and out you might be right now in this moment. You can turn it around. You can start really simple with these 3 things. And before you know it, if you make this a daily practice, you'll look back after a month, after 3 months, after 6 months and go, I trust myself more than I ever have. And I guarantee if that's the case, if you have that realization, then your external reality will be reflecting that to you, which means that you will be living a life that is so much more full and abundant and joyful than you even thought possible. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for being a part of this. Please share this with anyone you think might benefit. I want to just send so much love, gratitude, and appreciation for all of you deep divers and remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.